There are 11 million illegal immigrants currently in the US, according to official estimates. There are 20,000 immigration and custom enforcement agents, and there's another 20,000 customs and border patrol agents. That means that for every one agent who deals with immigration, there are about 275 immigrants. Now, I'm giving you these statistics so that you can consider them in light of today's story. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching from. Welcome back to the channel. It's time to hang out with this sweet sounding Kenyan man once again. The story I'm going to tell you about today is of a lady who is in California. Now, I don't know her backstory. I was told the story by someone just recently. So what I'm just going to cover is the drama. Now, she got her documentation or papers through marriage, but I'm guessing it wasn't a real marriage. She just went through the normal process. She married the guy, she filed, she went for the interview, and then she got the 2-year green card. So after the getting of her green card, she went on living her life like normal. Only now she wasn't living with the husband because it wasn't a real marriage. She was living with her boyfriend. So fast forward to a few months ago, and she was home with the guy, and she hears a knock on the door. And she opens it, and it is USCIS investigation agents. Now, typically, although it doesn't happen to everyone, it is quite normal for USCIS to send agents to your home, the address that you gave officially to be your address, in order to investigate whether your marriage is real. So they will come into the house, they will take photos, they'll ask you questions, they'll check your bills, they'll see how the interaction between the two of you, is. And they can show up at any time of the day. Typically, they like show up early in the morning. You can show up as early as 6 a.m. when you're coming out of bed, and while you have every right to deny them entry, because they either have to have a warrant or they have to get your consent to get in the house. If your marriage is real, there really isn't a problem with you letting them in to do their investigations. It helps move your case if they're having any questions, rather than go for a second interview. And so the lady let the agent in. So they start walking around, asking questions, taking pictures, and collecting evidence, just the normal stuff. And they asked the lady where the husband was. So she said that he was at work. Now, the boyfriend who she was living with was in the bedroom. And so he hears all these voices and he comes out. And they ask, "Who are you?" Because that's not the photo of the person that they have on file. And she says, "Oh, this is just a friend of mine who's here." So they ask him, "Do you have an ID?" He goes to the bedroom and he brings out his ID, his green card. They ask the lady for her ID, her green card, and also her passport, I guess, to confirm the identity. But I guess the story wasn't making sense to them, and so they asked for her phone. Now, again, I said, they can ask for all these things, but it is up to you to consent to it. They cannot take it by force. They are not allowed to unless they have a warrant. Now, I'll cover this in a separate video of what to do when you have these people at your house, or when you're stopped by immigration agents. So she handed them her phone. They told her to unlock it. She unlocked it, and they went through her messages. So when they started going through her messages, especially the one which she's conversing with her husband in air quotes, they found out that they were just talking money, like transactional relationship. She was paying him for all those, like she was paying his bill, she was giving him money. And so they seized her green card and her passport. I think they might have also seized her phone because there was evidence of immigration fraud, which is actually undeniable because they caught you red-handed in that. So I'm not sure about the guy, whether his green card was a 10-year one or what his status was in terms of marriage, because I didn't get the update to that. The lady who was telling me this story said that she had to cut off the girl in California with good reason, because she does not even have an application in with the USCIS. So of course, if they go through the conversations and there are other people discussing such matters with the lady who's been arrested, you're going to also be caught up in the net. So what's the point of trying to follow up and bring a spotlight on yourself? So it was warranted for her to cut her off. And I can only imagine that at this point, most likely there is going to be a further investigation into the marriage by the officials, and if she cannot prove herself innocent, she might be put into removal proceedings, into deportation proceedings. Now, you don't get deported right away. I'm going to cover that also in a different video. You have a chance to appeal and to fight to remain in the US. Removal proceedings are quite normal for people. It's not something that it's inconvenient, but it's not something that you cannot beat. A lot of people have beaten it. So the question is if you're always being watched. And the fact is the USCIS does not have enough resources to monitor all the applicants. Now, just 2021 by itself, there were 9 million applications sent into the USCIS. No, the USCIS cannot follow up on all these applications physically. It's just the applications where something comes up or there is something to note in your case that might be a red flag. For example, if you're in removal proceedings and you get married, most likely they're going to investigate if that marriage is real. If you're having run in with the law before you got your green card, they probably will still investigate that one. If you came into the country and you're here for a very short time before you got married, maybe you came in June, by August you're married, by September you filed for your green card, you probably will investigate that as well. So it's not everyone that they just come and look for. There has to be something they're looking for in order for them to come to your house to investigate. They do not have the resources to do that. There are too many people in this country. So as you put in your application, you need to check how your case has been or how you've been in the US. That is not to say that if you've not been in trouble, then you should just let your guard down. You should always have your guard up. You should live as if you're being watched by someone at all times, even if you're not, up until you get your citizenship. Always keep your guard up. Now, I'm going to post different videos explaining the do's and don'ts when you're in the country. I mean, because you have rights even as an illegal immigrant in this country. You can't just be arrested, and even if you're arrested, there is a procedure that the agents, the officers need to follow. You're entitled to a lawyer, although that will not be covered by the US government. You have to cover that expense by yourself because you're not a citizen and you're not a green card holder. Now, these are the things that most people don't really pay attention to at times. They figure, oh, once they get the green card, then it's all clear from there. But it's not always so. You still have to be mindful of what you're doing and who you're hanging out with. And that's the story for today. If I ever get an update on this story, I'm going to post it up and let you know what happened. But that's it for today. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video. Good night.